People are funny in fun ways. For example, some people like to whisper. They don't want anybody more than 2 inches away to hear what they say. Like this coy little creature. On the other hand, some people like to shout. They don't care who hears what they say, even if they're 2 blocks away. Like this big blowhard. And you know, some music merchants are funny too. Some of them operate their phonographs at a volume so low you've got to strain your ears to hear the music. That's no fun. So what do people do? They go home. And others, the big volume boys, they give her the works. They really blast their music and, incidentally, their customers right out of the place. Music at the wrong volume level knocks profits to pieces. And that's why, in the interest of Wurlitzer music merchants, the Rudolph Wurlitzer Company presents... Most of us at some time or other are accused of showing no sense at all. Yet all of us with our normal faculties have 5 senses. Sight, taste, smell, touch, and hearing. We'll touch on the first 4 later, but let's get into hearing now and understand what sound is by looking into our own ears. Sound is a sensation received through the ear from vibrations usually transmitted by air. Here is the way sound reaches the brain. The ear is made up of 3 parts. First, the outer ear, that flap on each side of your noggin. That's like a microphone collecting sound. Sound enters here, passes through the auditory canal, like this, to the middle ear. Now, the middle ear consists of the eardrum, a small chamber of air behind it, and another gadget with a $2 name that a fellow with false teeth would sure have trouble with, the ossicles. This here ossicles is made up of 3 small bones that some blacksmith must have named. They're called the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. Any sound you hear vibrates your eardrum. That starts the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup to exert varying pressures on the inner ear, which is lined with a bag containing liquid. The nerves that run to the brain hook onto this bag, and it's up those nerves that sounds are telegraphed to the brain. Now, sounds are pleasing or displeasing to us, according to how they appeal to our sense of hearing. Our brains rebel against sounds that are so loud they're just noise, like these.
Hey, Skinny!
We're irritated by sounds that we want to hear, but are so soft that we have to strain to hear them, like these.
For heaven's sakes, John, turn it up. I can hardly hear it.
Speak louder. I can't hear you.
And now a word from Wurlitzer's General Service Manager, Milton Bartles.
We at Wurlitzer know that whether or not your location patrons get their phonograph music at a pleasing volume level makes a tremendous difference in the number of nickels, dimes, and quarters they spend to hear it. We know that locations vary in size, shape, number of rooms, and acoustical qualities. Every one of those factors affects the sound level of your phonograph music. We know that proper location of wall boxes is of tremendous importance to your take in any location. As you heard before, people are funny. Many of the patrons in your locations are too occupied, or too timid, or too lazy to walk across the floor and put a coin in the phonograph. But if you put Wurlitzer music at their elbows by means of wall boxes, they'll play it. because you've made it easy for them to do. And you make more money. The combination of speakers carrying pleasing sound level all through any location, plus wall boxes at strategic points to multiply play, constitutes a Wurlitzer engineered music system, your key to extra profits. And now we're going to take you through some actual locations, typical of those on your route, varying in size and shape, and show you what happens to your music when you do and do not have a Wurlitzer engineered music system. You'll see first a picture and then a floor plan of each type of location.
To begin with, we will illustrate sound patterns diagrammatically with concentric circles and lines. Let's assume this is a location. Let's say we install a ceiling speaker in the center of this room. A uniform sound pattern emanates from this speaker in all directions. From it, we get effective sound distribution over the entire area involved. Now let's take the same location and see the wrong and right way of sound distribution when wall speakers are used. You get poor sound distribution if you place them this way. The sound pattern travels directly across the room to bounce off the opposite walls. Muffled, distorted music is the result, and the center area is not adequately covered at all. You get poor sound distribution if you place them this way. Sound waves traveling from either end of the room meet and clash in the middle. Just remember, sound waves travel like the ripples caused by this bobbing float. When they hit an obstruction at too close range, whether it be a wall or opposing sound waves, they bound back to clash with and break up the oncoming waves. You can see the result here. You can hear the result where music is involved, and it does not make good listening. To avoid the pitfalls of improper sound distribution in an area like this, place your wall speakers at an angle so that they beam their music like this. The results are even coverage of all points in the room. No distortion from sound waves banging into nearby walls or clashing head-on with each other. Tone clarity, total coverage, no dead spots. The kind of music that encourages continuous play. Here's a typical long, narrow location, although actually it is L-shaped, because there's an additional room at this end back of the wall at the right. The phonograph is now located halfway down the room, facing the bar. Here's a floor plan of this spot. Concentric lined areas will show you the disadvantages of this setup. Any attempt to provide music in this location with a bare phonograph is bound to produce this result. The volume at the phonograph must be so great that it would just about knock those nearby stool sitters right off the perch. Then, just as the sound pattern decreases, so would the music in the location. The patrons at the far ends of the bar and in the booths would have to strain to hear it. And without an auxiliary speaker, the folks in the next room wouldn't hear it at all. This is definitely not a play-promoting, profit-producing setup. Now let's see what a Wurlitzer engineered music system would do for this place. First, move the phonograph up front and operate it at moderate volume. Second, install 3 ceiling speakers or 3 wall speakers in the long, narrow main room. 1, 2, 3. Now over into the side room. 2 wall speakers or 2 ceiling speakers. And there you have even music distribution. No blasting, no dead spots. And even distribution at the proper level to provide enjoyment for the patrons. The more they enjoy it, the more they'll play it, and the more you, as a Wurlitzer music merchant, will make. Add bar boxes on the bar, wall boxes in each booth, and you have a Wurlitzer engineered music system that will really pay off. Our second example, a single-room location with an oval bar in the center, a type of layout familiar to all of you. Nowhere in this spot could a bare phonograph be located to give adequate music coverage. But see how simple this objective becomes when you install a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Here is one side of this room, and here is the other. Now, the logical place for the phonograph would be here, in full view of everyone at the bar. But to try to provide adequate music with it alone would not be logical at all. Here's your picture under those conditions. It's the old picture of blast here and blank areas there. So we tone down the phonograph volume. We install a wall speaker a short distance from each of the two back corners of the room, all held to low volume, and we add two seating speakers to reinforce the sound at the front of the room. As a result, we have an even distribution of play-stimulating music. Install Wurlitzer bar boxes at the bar, Wurlitzer wall boxes in the booths, and you have a second example of a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Makes your music as easy to play as it is to listen to. Never forget that music can be as pleasing or displeasing to our sense of hearing as certain objects please or displease our sense of sight. For example, a scene like this is offensive to the sight, so much so we call it an eyesore. But a view like this, that's something else again. It pleases the eye just like good music at the proper volume pleases the ear. In one case, we're inclined to take another look. In the other, we're moved to have another listen. It's those extra listens that spell extra profits in this business. Our third location poses another problem. A fairly common problem, too. A front room with a bar. A back room with table service only. This one is a bit more elaborate in appearance than usual, but the sound distribution problem is the same one you face in even the plainest location of its type. You're looking at the front room. Just behind the chandelier is the entrance to the other room. The phonograph location is good. People must pass it to enter the room at the rear, a play-stimulating feature. Here is the room at the rear. Obviously, alone, the phonograph could not satisfactorily serve these two rooms without blasting some ears and straining others. Let's look at a floor plan and the solution to the problem through the installation of a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Let's take the room with the bar first. Here it is with a bare phonograph. Music at full throttle, and you can bet nearby patrons in full retreat. Now let's apply some common sense and some sound engineering to this problem. First, let's cut down that volume at the phonograph. Put a wall speaker here, and a wall speaker at low level here. Now we have an even distribution of listenable music at conversational level. Out in the back room, a seating speaker in the center, and two wall speakers to reinforce the end areas. There you have it. And you'll have greater take from a spot like this as a result. Install bar boxes at the bar, wall boxes at suitable places for a complete Wurlitzer engineered music system. Just remember all the time that you can offend a person's sense of hearing just like you can displease his sense of taste. Some people think that some things are definitely not good tasting, like this young citizen and his castor oil. But change it to ice cream, and the world looks entirely different. You'll get the same good or bad reactions from proper or improper sound volume. Here's Here's another location that is fairly common, the U shape. It has a center lobby, a large room to the left, and here it is. A smaller room to the right of the lobby. And back of that, the bar room and the phonograph. Now, obviously the bare phonograph cannot do the whole job here. This location is a natural for a Wurlitzer engineered music system. And just as naturally, the increased music coverage within the location will result in increased profits from it. What does it call for? Tone down the phonograph in the bar room. Install 2 ceiling speakers in the larger room, a wall speaker in the lobby, and a ceiling speaker in the smaller room. With this setup and the proper distribution of wall and bar boxes, your music becomes more accessible, more enjoyable, and you can bet your bottom dollar, more profitable. People can be pleased or displeased by what they hear, well, just like they can be by what they smell. Unpleasant odors that make us do this, make us do this. Pleasing odors that win a favorable reaction win sales. And it's the same when you provide pleasing sound with a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Now let's tackle another problem. And you undoubtedly have locations like this right on your own roofs. You enter this place here, and then through doors to the right or left. This center section is a solid walled staircase going to the second floor of the building. There can be no traffic across the front of this location. And of course, sound will not carry from one side to the other. Looks rather complicated. But as a matter of fact, it is a simple job for a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Here's a picture of this spot taken from the front. And here, the other side, photographed from the rear. Now, to service this location with music by a bare phonograph gives you this picture. Blare at one end, blah at the other. All you have to do is install a wall speaker in each of the 4 corners. Tone down your phonograph volume. Presto! You've made your music easy to listen to. Next, make it easy to play. By bar boxes, by wall boxes. Now, no one has to take a walk to start the phonograph playing, or shout to be heard when it is playing. From now on, this will be a far more profitable location than it ever was when it had just a music box instead of a music system. There's one more type of location worthy of analysis, and then we're through. Something a little bit different. The round location. It presents specific problems. Anywhere you place a phonograph in here, you're bound to be too close to some patrons, too loud for them, if the music is to be audible to all. The sensible solution is a Wurlitzer engineered music system. Place the phonograph here. Install ceiling speakers as indicated on the inside. Inasmuch as many patrons of this type of place are served in their cars, we'll need outside speakers too. Next, make your music easy to play with adequate bar boxes and wall boxes. Watch your investment pay off in satisfied customers who spend more money with you because you spent the necessary time and required money to figure out and install the kind of music to which they like to listen. And now another word from Mr. Bartels.
Now there is one more vitally important problem that is present where the installation of a Wurlitzer engineered music system involves multiple speakers. That's the problem of phasing your speakers. Most music merchants overlook this step. They fail to realize how important it is to good phonograph music and how easily it can be accomplished. Speakers that are out of phase produce this condition: distortion and dead spots here. Speakers that are in phase give you absolute tone clarity and complete coverage like this. To put speakers in phase is simple indeed. You merely reverse two wires. For a full explanation of the advantages of speaker phasing, consult your Wurlitzer Distributor's Service Manager. Right here, I think it's about time that we heard from Mr. E.R. Wurgler, General Sales Manager of Wurlitzer's Phonograph Division.
Fellas, we're all members of the music industry. We're all dealing with sound. And let me tell you, it really is something to deal with. Maybe you don't know it, but sound waves of various types can burn your finger, kill bacteria, age whiskey, mix paint, homogenize milk, and increase the yield from plant seeds. Yes, sound is a tool that science, industry, and medicine are harnessing with almost unbelievable results. Sound waves are being used to clear fog over airports, to open garage doors by a touch of a button on your instrument panel, to perform brain operations without opening the skull, knifeless surgery accomplished by shock waves of sound. Yet nowhere does sound, properly used, contribute more directly to profits than in the music business. We know it. That's why we developed Wurlitzer Engineered Music Systems, to help you harness and distribute the music of Wurlitzer phonographs all through your locations at a volume level that makes good listening for patrons and good money for you.
From the